Yeah.
Hi, I'm Angela Bradford. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Family Life at Brigham Young University, and I teach primarily in our marriage and family therapy program.
And I'm Alan Hawkins. I'm a professor of family life here at Brigham Young University, and I teach family life education. And I'm very interested in the practice of family life education. We don't have our third author here with us, Jennifer Acker, who directs a couple and relationship education program at the Parenting Center in Fort Worth, Texas. But a lot of her very practical ideas are a part of our paper here.
Great.
All right.
Well, let me just say, so we approached this paper because all of my research up to this point has been on relationship education. I had the privilege of working on one of the larger federally funded projects in Alabama, and so my dissertation work and other work that I've continued has been relationship education. And so I've seen kind of both sides. I've seen the therapy side, I've seen the education side, and I've seen kind of an interesting merger that we didn't think was going to happen. So we talked about the fact that we wanted to address this and needed to address this in the literature.
Right. There's, as many people know, there's quite a bit of public funding now to support couple and relationship education to get it out there to more people who can benefit. And but that's produced something quite interesting. As more and more people are attending these or are participating in these services. We're finding now that a lot of distressed couples and individuals in distressed relationships, married and unmarried relationships, are attending these classes. This is a little bit different from what we've done traditionally in CRE, where we've been more focused on prevention of relationship distress. So what do we do if we have a lot more people who are already experiencing relationship distress in these classes that we do?
Yeah, well, and that's what we kind of wrestled with in this paper. It has been suggested that these are the couples that don't really belong in relationship education because it's preventive, so we should just screen them out.
So what do you think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that we should screen them out for two reasons. One reason is that this is where they're getting services. Right? There is public support for relationship education. You don't see that for therapy.
Yeah.
And so these couples are coming. I also think that there's a stigma attached to therapy, and there's not a stigma attached to education. And so couples are coming, and these are the services they're getting.
Yeah.
So screening them out, I think, puts them at risk for not getting help. Right. The other thing is that so far the research that we have is suggesting that these couples are experiencing the same effects, the same change as one might experience in therapy. Yeah. So it's working. It wasn't intended to do that, but it seems to be working at least.
I agree with you on those things. Well, let's just briefly talk to them about some of the issues then that we raise in the paper. You want to start there?
Yeah, so there were a couple. And so we've just talked about screening. We think that screening can be helpful in terms of identifying needs and helping couples kind of see what they want. It maybe even assigning to classes with specific content areas, things like that. So we kind of wrestle a little bit with how screening might help.
What about domestic violence?
We wrestle with that too.
Yeah.
So the jury seems to be out on that still. That some people have really strong opinions about it. Certainly we don't want couples to feel like they're unsafe.
Right.
And so in situations like that, it's recommended that they be assigned to classes separately from each other before, until they get to a place where they're more safe. But that's really individual and individualized.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot to learn there,
Yeah.
but I do think it's important that we deal with that issue. So we got that. What else?
So we've talked about screening, and then the other is, what do our teachers do? What do the educators do?
Right.
If there are people in class who are distressed and they're looking for more, if you will, how do they handle this in class?
Right.
And so we've made some suggestions.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about some of those?
Well, why don't we just have them read the article? That's what we're supposed to be doing.
That's a great fun.
Let's see. A third point then was also about an issue that we've really wrestled with. Is there a need for some of these couples who are getting relationship education to get a little more than that?
Yeah, and we actually call it CRE plus, Couple Relationship Education Plus. That it might be helpful to sandwich relationship education between therapy sessions. That maybe a therapy session prior to help couples determine their goals. Maybe a more solution-focused kind of therapy session. Help them identify what it is they're really looking for, what they want. And then therapy sessions afterwards to really cement what they've learned, and reinforce those kinds of skills.
I'm sure there's some controversy in that, but we're putting some ideas out, and we hope that it will actually raise discussion about these issues.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're looking for. That was the purpose of the paper, was to wrestle. We don't have answers. It would be great to have answers, but we don't have the answers. But we definitely realize that we cannot ignore this anymore. We need to really address this, and so that's what we're hoping you'll get. And we do welcome questions or comments. You can email either of us. My email address is angela_bradford@byu.edu.
And I'm Alan_Hawkins at byu.edu. We hope you enjoy reading the article.